Hello YouTube, back with the next Robot Wars toy review, and of course, you may be wondering, didn't you say you had none left? I thought I did. I had this for a long time, and I thought I'd reviewed them all and completely forgot I had this one. I had my mind just completely let this guy slip that I hadn't even reviewed it yet. And I looked in the reviews area, which contains all my reviews. I always make sure to put them in there. It was not among them. I searched. But here it is. I'd reviewed everything else, apparently. That probably should have been a clue to me to actually review it. But here it is. The Hypno-Disc Pullback toy. And as you can see, I love it how it's got the Series 3 design for the most part. Although, oddly, it includes the cover that it includes has the Pullback on it. See if I can make that pop up for you. You guys, you probably can't. I have to probably make it come up. This is bought on eBay, so I do have the other cover right here. Here's the other cover. Doesn't oddly enough, they liked it. In the actual robot, the Hypno-Disc Rose family actually used it on their robot. Although I think they used them slightly differently. So I guess if there's anything that came out of this, it was done so well that even the real robot managed to adapt this. Although I don't think it's particularly. I don't think it actually. Still, I mean, the robot still never had any success, and it wasn't successful enough to gain the championship. It got really close though. I mean, Chaos 2 was the only threat that was in its way, and of course at the time it didn't have a self-righting mechanism. Who knows how it would have gone if they had Series 4? But that never happened because Pussycat got in the way. Pussycat was basically the one robot that if Hypno-Disc had managed to beat, they probably would have done very well in the rest of the tournament, I think. But you have a look at the toy. I do love what they've done with it. As you can see, it's got all detail on it. The checkered plating on here. Got the Series 3 wheels here, including the 2 teeth on top, and then a little bit of cleverness. Well, if you look at the when I move the wheel, I'm actually moving the other wheel. I can move this wheel as well. See that the disc actually moves as well. It's a little sticky though. I think that's partly because, yeah, it's pretty cool. It actually makes the disc spin. Of course, this is also part of safety because it's meant for kids. So it was going to have. And the disc was not going to be able to do as much damage as it did in the show. Of course, after a while, it didn't really get to do a whole lot of damage at all. So the toy probably reflects it in that stance. But you can also spin the disc, and if you look at the tire is spinning as well. That's because there's an axle underneath here. You can't see it here, but see, nope, you can't see it here either. But the disc actually has its own gear, and there's another gear in this axle that connects the two together, and the two are just perfectly in sync. Which reminds me of the insides that I've taped this one down, because I kind of like this one a little bit better than the other one. A little bit more, I guess, I don't know, probably, it's kind of cool they actually include the self-right mechanism. The little wheel here in the center doesn't do anything. It's like just molded in plastic. But, let's see, pop the sucker off, you can look inside. It's pretty cool, they got a little mock drive system in there. Kind of gives you an idea how the real one actually looked if you actually were to go up and see it. Although, they actually did show him pretty well in the show, I think. I mean, that's really good. I mean, that's a nifty little feature. It's too bad they didn't go all the way out, but, I mean, granted, this is a toy. Although they did get the motor, the weapon motor. You can just see it inside here. That's a little weapon motor. I think this powers the weapon here in the show. I mean, that's a great feature. I mean, obviously, yeah, unfortunately, because of the way it's designed, this is not coming out because all the molded plastic they put in. Actually, maybe it might. I don't know. I think the screws underneath actually only pull this off, so you get to see a little bit more where the motor is, a pullback motor inside here, obviously. In case you were ever curious, yes, the pullback motor works. That's a little bit of an idea. I can move the other one as well, just so you're. I mean, they're connected the same way, so but. Yeah, it's a good idea of. Overall, this is a brilliant. I love what they've done with this, and I think the little holes on the back here for when it was like sealed in plastic, they actually had to make room for it. Although I'm not entirely sure. I don't remember. I never actually got it when it was sealed, so. But I'd say it's a good bet. It looks about the right size. But I mean, great idea. I love what they've done with the toy. And I think it was one of the first to actually be produced as a toy. In fact, Craig Charles, who brought it up, so good they made the toy. Although that kind of actually, I don't think being a good robot actually is all the criteria for making a toy. They can make a toy just because it's popular. I mean, BattleBots, you may have noticed there are a couple of robots in the mini-bots that didn't do well at all, but still got a toy, including Scrap Daddy HW, Hamu Naftra, and Doorstop. No one's going to remember at least the latter of those two. Scrap Daddy, maybe, but that's only because they were booed most of it. They were not a popular team at all. They still got a toy for reasons unknown, I guess. Although they were on a tight schedule, so they probably just picked 50 at random and just went with it. They probably like picked the popular ones and then just picked a whole bunch at random to do. I mean, this is awesome. What they've done with this, it's kind of too bad. It doesn't have, you can't swap out the tires or anything. I mean, I guess you could. I mean, there's like, you know, notes on the Robot Wars wiki that the tires can come off. I haven't had that issue though. It's awesome. It's too bad the Stream Mech is kind of loose, although maybe I can't give entirely fault on that, but I don't think it would be that far off. It'd be nice if this, I mean, this goes out all the way. I mean, the real one didn't, I don't think actually went out that far back, which means it can actually flop over and kind of, you'll have to like, when it's inverted, you'll have to actually, you know, help it out. But, I mean, this is, I'm obviously a fan of Hypno-Disc. I mean, it's a great robot. It's too bad it got kind of obsolete later. Probably be obsolete now. I'm sure the Rose family still has some remains of their robots. I think they still probably have the old disc and maybe the outer shells of the toy. Maybe, heck, maybe, I'm sure they still have the Hypno-Disc toy. I mean, that's pretty cool. That's something they'd probably keep a lot longer than that. And I guess we've been seeing some indications that, yeah, they're just too busy at the moment to get Hypno-Disc back. They would need a lot to work on Hypno-Disc to get it up to par with the current Robot Wars anyway, so. Brilliant toy design. I'm kind of glad they did this. It means you don't have to worry about winding up the motor like the pit stop kit. I mean, that was kind of lame, and of course the disc wasn't really that well attached. I mean, brilliant way to go about this, and you can spin the disc both ways on its own. So the disc will actually spin in the opposite direction when the robot is moving the other way. Of course, that was not something with the original robot, but that's kind of a nice bonus feature. And here's the underside of the disc, exactly like the robot's actual the underside of the disc. I mean, yeah, definitely. If you're a fan of Robot Wars or you're a fan of Hypno-Disc or both, I'm sure you'll probably be a fan of both actually. I would definitely get this toy. Definitely, it's worthwhile. You probably have to pay a little bit more if you want it mint in the box. I'd say it's pretty common on eBay. I think I see it relatively. I mean, Chaos 2, I see it probably a little bit more, especially the mini bot. But awesome. Props to the BBC Logistics kids for actually going all the extra mile to actually make these look like the real toy, the real robot, and giving it some nice functionality. I mean, yeah, it's not going to do any damage, but I mean, this is supposed to be a safety feature for kids. So, of course it's not going to do any damage. But still, they actually captured pretty much every single aspect of the real robot. So, props to them. That's my review on the Robot Wars Hypno-Disc Pullback toy. Thanks for watching.